Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Q3 2019 Digital Marketing Report Review. I'm your moderator, Emily McKinnon from Merkle's marketing team. Before I introduce our speakers and we get to the webinar content, I'd like to share some information about Merkle as well as some key housekeeping items for you to keep in mind throughout today's webinar. For those of you not familiar with Merkle, a few quick facts about us. We help the best brands in the world create competitive advantage through people-based marketing. We believe in marketing to people, not proxies. And we believe the future of marketing is personal, informed by data, powered by technology, and delivered through creativity. We have more than 9,000 employees in 56 offices across 13 countries, and we are part of the Dentsu Aegis network. To lead today's webinar, we are joined by two industry experts. Merkle's Mark Ballard, Vice President of Research, and Merkle's Ryan Gibson, VP Client Partner. And now over to Mark to get us started.
Great. Thanks, Emily, and thanks, Ryan, for being here. Ryan had an instrumental part in launching this report about 8 years ago at this point, so it's nice to have him on the call with me to provide some of the insight that he has from working with our clients. A little bit about the report. Like I said, we've been doing it 8 years. We're looking at same-site results from established programs, those that have been working with us for over a year. That's important context, particularly for some of the newer platforms like Amazon or Instagram or even Facebook, where they're still benefiting from having advertisers come on board with them. But we want to show what the typical program that has been doing this a while is seeing out there in the space. And all this data is drawn from the $1.5 billion in managed media that Merkle works with. So without further ado, we'll start with Google paid search. And looking at the overall growth trends here, we did see an acceleration in spending growth for Google search ads, up to 16%, an acceleration of about a point. We had seen about 2 years of slowing growth for Google, so it's nice to see that turnaround. In terms of the key metrics there, slightly stronger click growth, while CPC growth stayed the same, and we'll drill down into what we're seeing in terms of the ad formats. In terms of device, though, spending growth was steady on phones. Continue to see growth on Google driven by mobile. Not a surprise there, but should point out that desktop is also still positive in terms of spending growth, at least 7% growth. That was a slight acceleration there from Q2, but importantly, we are seeing traffic down in year-over-year terms for desktop, and all of that growth is being driven by higher CPCs. In terms of the formats, we did see a slowdown for Google Shopping, formerly known as PLAs, where we saw the pickup was on the text ad side, a nice jump there from negative growth up to almost 10% growth. And we'll get into those trends in a second, but a little bit on the shopping piece first. One thing to keep in mind is that Google did lose a significant chunk of traffic to shopping ads when Yahoo basically gave inventory that Google Shopping had been serving to Microsoft, probably on the order of 1 to 2% of shopping clicks, but not insignificant. And you see that in the search partner share of Google shopping clicks here. You see that drop from Q1 to Q2, but then you see this additional drop down to almost zero from Q2 to Q3. That latter drop is tied to Google basically reclassifying its image search property. So if you're an advertiser looking at your search partner traffic and suddenly it's zero, it's tied to this reclassification, and it's largely illusory in the sense that now it's just part of the standard Google network and not a search partner. Another thing we're watching and have been for a while is Amazon's role in Google Shopping auctions. They initially got into the space the very last week of 2016. They were primarily running ads in the home goods space. So we've been tracking that product category specifically for a while. More recently, though, we're seeing them expand to newer product categories. We show apparel here as an example of that, but we see them in other product categories like health and beauty, for example. And even within some of these categories, just in the last few months, they've been playing an even larger presence than before. We saw a big jump in impression share for Amazon right up in the days ahead of Prime Day. They turned those ads off during Prime Day, but they were right back at it immediately after. So they're having the greatest impact they've ever had in the shopping auctions. And, it's hard to quantify what effect this is having on the programs we're seeing. But, it's Amazon, they're a behemoth, and, it can't be great, but, to put a number on it's difficult.
Yeah, I think that one of the challenges here is with Amazon advertising and having so many different products, they can afford to spend more in specific product categories, and so I think the biggest impact would tend to come from smaller niche players who can't really afford to bid rationally in a shopping query potentially, where Amazon has a whole litany of products they could sell even if someone doesn't choose to buy what they're looking for at the moment.